Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. It is exactly 18 after 8 o'clock. News and views right here on Salam Media. And our first guest for the morning is Abu Bakr Tapelo. He is with the Al Jama Party, and we're going to be talking about a very serious situation this morning. And that, of course, is the burst dam wall in Jagersfontein. And of course, we also know that there's been absolutely untold damage and disaster in that area. We've seen the footage on TV, and it is totally unimaginable. I can't even begin to think what those poor folk are going through there. Very sadly, one life has already been lost. So let's hear what political parties are thinking about the situation and how much pressure they are going to be putting on the powers that be to make things start happening, to hold people accountable for a disaster that could have been avoided. Brother Abu Bakr Tapelo, Salamu Alaikum, welcome to the program. Nice to have you on the show, but of course, under very sad circumstances.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning to you and the listeners at home. So let me share my deepest sympathy and my heartfelt condolences for those who have lost their loved ones through this tragic event. So basically, as a party, Al Jama'a, we want to categorically state that the Chapter 2 of the Constitution of South Africa says everyone has a right to have access to sufficient food and water. Of course, that would also entail clean water or purified water in order to give um, the residents safety and purity. So, if you remember, sometimes in 1997, there was an act in Parliament that speaks of clean water. So, in a nutshell, what we are saying is that one, by all costs, we need to make point that we do not contaminate water, and by all costs, we need to make it a point that our reservoirs are safe.
Mm.
And we also advocate for engineers with competency. We, the party, since we have a national seat in parliament, at least we have a voice that can advocate for the downtrodden, those who have been manipulated through maybe tender processes which were not fulfilled in an adequate manner. So, through our party leader, Honorable Khamis Hendricks, you know that he's passionate on the issues of sanitation, issues of water, issues of decontaminating water. So this is the view that our party leader will be advocating in probably the next sitting.
Okay, Tapelo, Abu Bakr Tapelo, let me ask you this question. What is very, very worrying is that the owners of the Jagersfontein mine dam apparently were warned to stabilize the wall. You've indicated that we need experienced engineers to do site visits and to give dependable reports so that issues can then be addressed immediately. They were apparently the mine owner was engaged. They were promised that the place would be safe. Water Affairs were also issued some warning certificates during the course of this year. And despite that, nothing has happened. So we need to hold the mine owners, including the Water Affairs Department, culpable in this situation, because surely if you get an engineer's report suggesting that there is a problem regarding safety of the wall and lives, and possibly the entire town is at risk, how is it that these people would still continue sitting on their hands, that nothing was done? in a situation like this, they should have addressed it immediately by trying to stabilize the wall. At that point, the cost would have been minimal. Now the wall has collapsed. The entire town has been wiped out. You can't rehabilitate that town because of the contaminated water. People will have to be resettled, and lives will have to start from scratch all over again. Now look at the cost to taxpayers, possibly to the owners, and to the general public at large.
Um, my apologies. So you would know that issues of mining, in particular, it's an issue of national interest. So is the issue of water or dams. Those are the issues of national interest because they are governed by a supreme law, which is the constitution of the land. So I think to a certain degree, not only the mining as a private sector, but the DMR, the minister responsible for the DMR, has to be held liable because it, it's of no consequence for you to only communicate through a document, but uh, there has to be penalties uh, that will ensure or make it a point that these people they comply with the regulations. Other than that, those penalties, it's either it come in the form of a fine or failure to comply. It will also come into the termination of the operating certificate. So you know that if you do not have the certificate to operate, then you can't run that particular mine. So somebody somewhere might have an interest. So they need to be equally liable for the disaster that had been caused by this particular dam.
Okay, so Abubakar, the next question. Are you suggesting that this mine was in active operation? And sadly, then obviously the disaster happened. That's question number one. And you do agree with me that water affairs need to be held accountable. I don't think, you talk about fines. For me, that doesn't sound serious enough, and it doesn't sound as if we are holding the responsible parties accountable. What needs to happen here? Total and absolute accountability. Those 200 odd families that have been affected need to be housed immediately in good house, top quality housing, or a decent quality of housing. Schools have to be set up, infrastructure has to be set up. Uh, Close by enough for them not to feel that they're totally displaced from an area that they were familiar with. And we're talking possibly hundreds of millions of rands here regarding the resettlement of this entire community. When I spoke to Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman yesterday, he also indicated that surrounding farms have been affected, including sheep and cattle, and these sheep need to be given antibiotics because they've been drinking of the contaminated water. So I do hope that all of this is going to be raised by Al Jamaa in Parliament and to hold the perpetrators totally accountable.
You are correct. My apologies. Just to put clarity on what I was saying with regards to fines. So I was making reference to fines prior to any event of this nature, so that when the government officials are doing their oversight or government inspectors are doing their oversight, if they see that you do not comply with certain regulations, then there has to be fines. But failure to do so, that is prior to an event such as this nature, failure to do so, the termination of the operation certificate has to be terminated. So in an event where such event has happened, uh, both the responsible for DMR and the perpetrators had has to be held liable. They need to face justice. justice of maybe imprisonment in a way, or I don't know, the government or the parliament has to sit, there has to be a motion sponsored, and then somebody somewhere has to be liable for this event. So hence why I'm saying all those costs, parliament has to pay, the government has to pay, like you are saying, the shelter has to be re-given to these people. Um, if it's a medical issue, the government has to cover the medical bills for the individuals or the animals that affected by this atrocity. So just for clarity.
Okay, so Abu Bakr, obviously, we're talking parliament, we're talking government, but who are the owners of the mine and what has their response been to this matter? Have we had any response whatsoever? Are they on the ground doing all sorts of assessments and trying to assist in any and every way they possibly can? Abu Bakr, are you still with us? Abu Bakr, are you there? Okay, I do apologize, but we seem to have lost that connection. My controller is trying to get us reconnected. We seem to have lost Abu Bakr Tapelo Ahmad, but I think you get the gist of what Al Jamaa Party is saying about this disaster. Undoubtedly, they are going to collaborate with other parties and hold those responsible totally to account. I think government has a serious case to answer here as well, because apparently the mine owner was engaged, and the Water Affairs also issued warning certificates during the course of this year. But my question then is, if the Department of Water Affairs issued warning certificates, should they not have kept a close eye on the situation? Should they not have gone back a couple of times to check whether the mine owner is complying? And at that point, red flags, they would have and should have picked up the red flags and held the owner held the mine owner um, responsible and put pressure on him at that point a couple of months ago, a couple of weeks ago. And if they had put pressure on the mine owners, this disaster would not have happened. So I believe the Department of Water Affairs are equally culpable in this matter. I understand that Abu Bakr Tapelo Ahmad is back online. Salaam alaikum. We lost you there. Do you want to respond to culpability on this matter?
Look, my our position is clear as a party, without any prejudice. If people or someone somewhere didn't do their proper oversight, or someone somewhere didn't do their work as they're supposed to do, whether it be a government official or whether it be a politician, there has to be accountability, because we need to ensure that we live in safer communities. The safety of our communities is a priority, particularly when it comes from a government's point of view. The government has to ensure that our safety is a priority.
Abu Bakr, just before I lost you a few minutes ago, I put two questions to you regarding the owners of the mine. Do we know who they are? Have they come forward? Have they given any sort of response to this disaster?
No, I honestly do not know who they are. And I don't know what would be the communication between them, because this an issue that is of a national interest as indicated. So I am in no liberty to say anything of that nature.
Okay, we thank you indeed for your time. Undoubtedly, it will come to the fore as to who the mine owners are, and they are going to need to answer for their absolutely gross negligence in this situation, not forgetting the Department of Water Affairs as well. Good and well that they issued warning certificates during the course of the year. But my question is, why did they not follow up? So they hold equal culpability in this matter. Abu Bakr Tapelo Ahmad, thank you indeed for being with us on the show this morning. Undoubtedly, this is a developing story. We will be talking again soon. Is there anything you'd like to share with us before we end the conversation?
The only thing that I would say for now is that as a party, we have an interest, and we know that the party leader is also an activist in that area, particularly sanitation and water. So
Mm, mm.
I believe that he will do justice on his oversight and also advocating for those who are being affected by this disaster. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Are you hooking up with other minority parties to address this very serious situation, or is Al Jamaa going it alone because you are very passionate about this issue?
Uh, so we of the party, we believe in a collective collaboration.
Mm.
We will definitely reach out, and then if there isn't an appetite, we will then opt to do it alone as a party, independently from everyone.
Abu Bakr Tapelo Ahmad, he is with Al Jamaa talking to us about the Jagersfontein disaster, where the entire town has been covered in sludge due to the collapse of the dam wall in Jagersfontein. We did talk with Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman yesterday regarding disaster relief, and Alhamdulillah, they have their people on the ground already. But the one big, most urgently needed resource is water, 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 clean drinking water. So please, dear brothers and sisters, dig very deeply into your hearts and your pockets, and let's get as much water as we can out to these 250 odd families in Jagersfontein so that they can have water and that they can start normalizing their lives sooner rather than later. 8:36 news and views right here on Salam Media.